On this prequel episode, we've got our Neverending Story Part 2 fan poll follow-up. We're learning about Kevin Bacon and previewing Stir of Echoes. Hello and welcome back to This Films Lit, the podcast where we talk about movies that are based on books. It's another prequel week. We've got a handful of things to talk about. Let's get into our first thing, which is our patron shoutouts. We have no new patrons this week, but we do have our Academy Award winners, and they are Jeff Niederhofer, Winchester's Forever, Kelly Napier, Gray Hightower, Eli Youngs, Gratch, Just Scratch, Shelby Says Black Lives and Trans Lives Matter, Clownhorn Baylor, mostly for their LGBTQ plus policy, but also for beating the Badgers, and Alina Doletkolova. Badgers is Wisconsin.
I have no idea.
That's the basketball tournament. I assume they're talking about the basketball tournament.
I mean, I figured it was about
I filled out a
basketball.
bracket for and remember zero. I'm in second place in our work bracket, but I don't think I technically, I guess I could win, but I don't know. I'm in second place, but I think the first person's like ahead by a lot. I could be wrong about that. But yeah, I didn't know Baylor had a weird LGBTQ. Is Baylor a private school? I don't know anything about Baylor.
You're really asking the wrong person all of these questions.
Baylor must be a private school, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, all right. And I can say fuck Baylor because ours is an explicit podcast. I assume they may have switched that. They may be an opening arguments patron because they use Clownhorn in place of expletives. Gotcha. Because they are a non-explicit podcast, and so I'm assuming that may be why that's there. But on ours, we can just say fuck Baylor, which I don't care about Baylor. And if they have a shitty policy, then fuck them. All right, we've got our fan reaction for the Neverending Story Part 2, the next chapter.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
All right, so we had some votes, we had some comments. On Facebook, I did both kinds of poll this time. And the official Facebook poll got one more vote than my homemade image poll. So I don't know what that means.
But neither got very many.
No.
Yeah. It's weird.
So we had 3 total votes on Facebook. Weird. I know. They were all for the book. And we did have one comment, not necessarily like a follow-up comment, but Ian said, in a similar vein to how Captain Hook and Mr. Darling are played by the same actor, that's in the stage show, or in Labyrinth, how Sarah's mother ran off with a musician, David Bowie, plays Jareth. What if Clarissa also played Bastian's mother? It would be a sense of familiarity to him, which is why he trusts, I already forgot how we were pronouncing this, Zaida, and would add a twisted aspect to her manipulation of him, which I think would have been a good route to go.
I actually had that thought while we were recording the episode, and then it got lost in some...
And I just thought, in my head, I was already married to the idea that they were going for the adolescent boy has a crush on an older lady angle. So I thought of that and then dismissed it.
Yeah. I was also thinking the other angle they could have done, which would have been interesting, was, but I don't know if it works necessarily, but the other option would have been the, and this would be more similar to the David Bowie one, the woman that, Bastian's dad is dating, who we actually never see in the movie, but station wagon lady, if she had been played by the same actress who plays Zaida.
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
That would have been a similar... I had both of those thoughts. I thought either could have potentially worked, but...
I definitely think that either way, that would have been a much more clear shorthand to explain why he falls in with her so quickly in the movie.
Yes, I agree. And I also think I don't know if it would have made sense for him falling in with her if it was the woman he hates who's dating, but if it was his mom's
if it had been the
actress.
Same actress as his mother, that would have been... And then we could have had that third act reveal of his mother, because we don't see her until late in the game.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, you're right.
Things that could have been. On Twitter, we had 10 votes. All of them were for the book, and several comments. Ian from Wine Country at IC Zorro said, I haven't read the book, but the movie had the production value of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and the horrifying feel of Return to Oz. It was 19 kinds of wrong.
Sounds like all kinds of right to me, but whatever.
Shelby Suderman at Shelby Suderman said, there were a few things I liked in the movie, mainly how handsome Dad the engineer reads along with Bastion's adventures and the audience getting to see Bastion's individual memories. Beyond that, I picked the book because I loved the complexity of the characters, the theme, and the message. The first half had a stronger build-up, and the second half had a better payoff. I also preferred the dynamic and the resolution between Bastion and Atreyu's friendship in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And Forever Alone Cooking at the number 4 ever AL, the number 1 cooking.
There you go.
Said
Forever Al1 cooking.
Said the German name of the dragon is Smarg. It's SMA with an umlaut.
Yes.
RG. And it may be a reference to Smaug. Although the closest German word I can think of is Smaug.
Smaug.
SCHMAUCH, which is a thick, smokeless fire, like smolder or smoke from a fired gun barrel. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
I think it makes total sense that they would both be taken from like the same root word.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely seems like they come from the same area.
But it would also make sense for Enda to just be referencing Tolkien.
Yeah.
Like,
I
that
think
makes
either of
total
them,
sense as well.
any of that makes sense.
And on Instagram, we had 10 votes for the book and 3 for the movie, although no one came to the movie's defense.
In the comments.
Yes, in the comments. Back from Neverland said, Katie mentioned that she used to love The Princess and the Goblin in the prequel episode, and I must say it would be incredible if you all covered that movie/book. It was my obsession as a child, and the nostalgia upon rewatching is real. I felt things I haven't felt in years. But as to the Neverending story, the first is forever better than the second, only because I can never watch the second without thinking about how much better the cast is in the original. So more of a comparison of like the two movies.
Yeah.
That's fine. We did have a couple people respond that they also remembered watching The Princess and the Goblin. And Austin on Facebook actually shared a link where it's available free through archive.org.
Yeah.
And I know we had at least one other comment about it, but I can't find it now.
Yeah,
so
it was on some random post somewhere, yeah.
Probably on Twitter. Twitter is the worst for trying to go back and find comments and things. And our last comment on Instagram was from Corinne Neva, who said, I'm late to the game, but this movie was such a huge part of my childhood, first movie only. My older sister made us act the movie out repeatedly. I, the youngest, had to play Falcor. My brother had to play the gnome with the telescope. My sister played everything else. Super strong sense memory of watching her act out the dad and Bastion with the orange juice. Anyway, now I want to read the book.
I love
that. That is, speaking as an oldest sibling, that's some very powerful oldest sibling energy.
Yeah. You play this dumb gnome. You play Falcor. I'm playing every other role. But like the one scene they remember is a scene where it would be their sibling playing both Bastion and the dad.
It's the orange juice.
While they just sit there and watch. Maybe one of them got to play the blender or something.
That would be amazing, actually. So our listener poll's winner was the book, with 23 votes to the movie's 3, which might be the most devastating loss ever handed out since we started doing polls.
Pretty heavily. I was one of the movie votes.
What were you?
Yeah. I mean, it was just a childhood favorite movie of mine, so I voted. I mean, I'd never read the book, so I think the book is probably better, but I had to go to bat for the movie. All right, that's it for our fan feedback. Thank you, everybody who leaves those comments and messages us, and all that good stuff. If you want to do it, just follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those places. That's where we get your feedback. It's now time. We're doing our first ever Kevin Bacon film, so we're going to learn a little bit about Kevin Bacon.
No matter what anybody tells you, words and ideas can change the world.
So, Kevin Norwood Bacon.
That's a good middle name.
It's a great middle name. The whole name altogether is really just chef's kiss. Kevin Norwood Bacon is an American actor who rose to prominence working on films in the early 1980s. He was born in Philadelphia as the youngest of 6 children. At the age of 16, he won a full scholarship to and attended the Pennsylvania Governor's School for Arts, which was a 5-week arts program. He studied theater while he was there, and that solidified his passion for the arts. And a year later, at 17, he left home to pursue a theater career in where else but New York City. Mm-hmm. I mean, where else do you pursue a theater career?
Very few other places.
His film debut in 1978's National Lampoon's Animal House, but that didn't lead to big fame, and he continued to act both on stage and in film and television until he started to get bigger breaks in films such as 40 Deuce and Diner in 1982, and of course, 1984's Footloose.
Yes.
He would go on to have a quite prolific acting career across the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s, appearing in films such as She's Having a Baby, A Few Good Men, Mystic River, Frost Nixon, and X-Men First Class, among many, many others.
I mean, you can't, how dare you leave out Tremors? That's all I'm going to say.
I literally just went to his IMDb and pulled a few.
I understand, but how dare they leave out Tremors, I guess. I don't know. Tremors. It's his best movie.
He also did vocal work, for example, voicing the title character in a film from our childhood that I remember very fondly, Balto. He also made frequent guest appearances on television shows such as Frasier, Mad About You, Will and Grace, again, among many, many others. In 1995, he formed a band called the Bacon Brothers with his brother Michael. They have released 6 albums. And the trivia fact that everyone's waiting for, Kevin Bacon is the subject of a trivia game called 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, based around the idea that due to his prolific screen career that covers a diverse range of genres, any Hollywood actor can be linked to through another handful of steps based on their association with Kevin Bacon. And apparently he was initially dismayed by the existence of this trivia game, but eventually embraced it. He would go on to reference it in advertising campaigns, as well as forming the charitable initiative 6degrees.org, which is a social networking service intended to link people and charities to each other. So that's nice. He didn't like it at first, but he made the most of it.
Yeah, and I am, I believe, 3.
3 degrees of Kevin Bacon?
Yes. I believe, I was talking to Kyle about it yesterday. I don't know who it is, but somebody in Gone Girl was in something with Kevin Bacon. It's not Ben Affleck. He's like, Ben Affleck himself is like 3, but somebody else, there's a million people in Gone Girl, so who knows who. But and then obviously Kyle would be, so it's Kevin Bacon, somebody in Gone Girl, that Kyle. Person to Kyle to me, so you. The third. Yeah, 1, 2,
I mean
3.
that makes me also 3 degrees because I also know Kyle.
Yes. Although it's not no so much as it is has been in something with. I guess it depends on what you define has been in something with. True. Like Good, Bad, or Bad has an IMDb entry, so that technically counts. Also, some of our other, I think Limbo, like one of our short movies might. But yeah, I mean, so I guess that still counts.
Well, I guess if you want to look at it that other way, you've been in stuff with Kyle.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Good, Bad, or Bad and stuff.
But I've been in this podcast with you, so that just makes me 4 degrees.
Yes. You also, your voice probably has appeared in an episode of Good, Bad, or Bad, Bad.
Probably.
Which would then make you 3. I think it has. It's got to be at some point. I've used your voiceover. Yes. Yes, I remember what it is now. Not that it matters, and not to go too far. But there's an episode, I don't remember which one it was. It might be the Demolition High. One of them, you played a teacher.
Oh, that's right.
Like
I remember
brief
that.
bit. I think it might have been Demolition High.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you are. There you go.
Anyway, back to Kevin Bacon. He's been married to actress Kyra Sedgwick since September of 1988. They met on the set of the PBS version of Lanford Wilson's play Lemon Sky. They've worked together on several films, TV shows, and they also have 2 children. Mm-hmm. Over the years, Bacon has been nominated for and won a slew of different awards, including a Golden Globe for the miniseries Taking Chance in 2010. I was kind of looking at his list, and I think that's like the most kind of prestigious one.
Yeah, he's never won an Oscar. I don't even know if he's been nominated.
No, I don't think he has. And I want to end with this quote that I thought was kind of funny. In 1991, Bacon was quoted in an interview for Cosmopolitan as stating, "I wanted life, man, the real thing. The message I got was, the arts are it. Business is the devil's work. Art and creative expression are next to godliness. Combine that with an immense ego, and you wind up with an actor."
There you go. It's a very, very honest self-assessment there.
He's not taking himself too seriously.
No.
We like that.
Yes, we do. We do like that. Oh, all right. That's a little bit about Kevin Bacon. Now let's learn a little bit more about the book, A Stir of Echoes.
Oh, I saw a guy who got a 2-inch needle stuck into his arm while he was under hypnosis, didn't feel a thing.
Okay, Kreskin, prove it. Hypnotize somebody.
Yeah, do me.
No.
Come on. What's the worst that can happen?
Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes.
Why do I know that song?
Are you okay?
What the hell did she do to me?
I see a red door and I want it painted black.
So the book is A Stir of Echoes. Mm-hmm. We have one of those situations where the movie dropped an article.
Yeah.
But A Stir of Echoes is a supernatural novel by American writer Richard Matheson, published in 1958. I don't have a ton of facts about the book itself, so I included a few about the author.
Yes. This isn't his most well-known book. Not that it's not well-known, but he has, you're about to mention a couple that
he has others
obviously
that are more well-known.
More well-known.
So Matheson was the New York Times best-selling author of I Am Legend, Hell House, and What Dreams May Come, among many, many others. This is another person with a very prolific career, but in writing, not in acting.
Yeah.
He was named a Grand Master of Horror by the World Horror Convention and received the Bram Stoker Award for Lifetime Achievement. He also won the Edgar, the Spur, and the Writers Guild Awards. In 2010, he was inducted into the Science Fiction Hall of Fame, and he also passed away just days before he was due to receive the Visionary Award at the 39th Saturn Awards ceremony in 2013. In addition to his novels and short stories, Matheson wrote several screenplays for movies and TV, including several Twilight Zone episodes and an episode of Star Trek, the original series.
I wonder what episode he wrote. Anyways, continue. Sorry. I'm just going to Google.
Stephen King and Anne Rice have both cited Matheson as a creative influence on their own writing. About like 3/4-ish of the way through the book, and I can definitely see the influence that his style had on King. Anne Rice, I am not so sure based on having read this one sample. Not sure I see it.
Yeah.
Real
quick, the episode that he wrote is a good episode from my memory. I've seen it once, I think. Mm-hmm. It's season 1, episode 5, The Enemy Within. And if you don't remember the title, that's the one where a transporter splits Captain Kirk into 2 versions of himself.
Interesting.
Like a meek and indecisive one, and like the other half is like violent and like it's like the machismo, ill-tempered side. And then they have to figure out how to fix that issue. So
sounds very 60s sci-fi.
It's very Star Trek. I mean, transporter episodes are a whole genre within Star Trek, and that's maybe the first one with it. Season 1, episode 5. That might be the first transporter episode, like where it's like the main plot is based on a transporter issue.
That's early enough. It seems likely.
Yeah, I doubt there was one before it.
Yeah.
But.
Many prominent directors have also lauded Matheson's influence on sci-fi and horror, including Steven Spielberg, Roger Corman, Richard Kelly, and your favorite, Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright.
Back to the book. Galaxy reviewer Floyd C. Gale praised the novel, saying Matheson expertly builds a mood of horror and terror that only on one occasion exceeds credulity. I'm just going to let you say it.
Credulity.
There we go. However, American sci-fi author Damon Knight dismissed it as a thin and banal ghost story with psi trimmings.
Interesting.
PSI trimmings.
Yeah,
I'm actually
psi.
not sure. Yeah. So, kind of differing opinions on it.
I'm interested to see what that one occasion. I don't know if it'll be the same in the movie.
Yeah.
But if I mean, obviously, I just have to assume because I don't know if we could go look up that review and find a spoiler for what it is or not. But
I don't think I've gotten there yet. Like I said, I'm about 3/4 of the way through it. I'm enjoying it. Mm-hmm. It's definitely like a slow burn, slow build kind of a thing.
I saw some people compare some elements of it to The Shining.
That's definitely got similar vibes. It's a very like slow burn kind of descent into madness kind of a thing. So I don't think I have come across the one occasion yet, but I will keep my eye out for it.
Interesting. All right, let's go ahead and learn now a little bit about Stir of Echoes, the film.
He hasn't gone to work. He sleeps like 12 hours a night.
Why are you digging?
The man's switch got flipped. He's a receiver now.
She's taking him away.
She was here.
What's the problem? I see people turn their heads and quickly look away. Like a newborn baby, it just happens every day.
Don't be afraid of it, Daddy.
I look inside myself and see my heart is black.
He can't stop it. He can't slow it down. He can't even figure it out.
No! Whatever door you open in my mind, I want you to shut it.
So, as you mentioned, Stir of Echoes, they dropped the A, which I think if it was made now, I think they would leave the A.
I think they probably would,
Stir of Echoes is a more, to me, it's almost something slightly more ominous and definite about it that makes, I think, and I also think like with A Song of Ice and Fire, I think that naming trend is a little more popular now than it was in the 90s in terms of like mainstream stuff.
Yeah.
So I think they would call it A Stir of Echoes now. But anyways, it is a 1999 film written and directed by David Koepp, who he didn't direct a ton of stuff, but he did write a bunch of stuff. And he wrote Jurassic Park, Spider-Man, the 2002 Tobey Maguire one, Mission Impossible, the first, the one in the 90s with Tom Cruise, the first one of those, War of the Worlds, and a handful of other things there was a ton of things that I didn't list.
That's a pretty impressive resume.
Yes, yeah, and mostly as a writer. Like I said, this is like his biggest movie he directed, it seemed like, from what I could see, but he wrote a bunch of stuff. It stars Kevin Bacon, Catherine Irby, Ileana probably, Douglas, Jennifer Morrison, and Kevin Dunn. Jennifer Morrison is the only other person I recognize. Well, sorry, that's not true. Kevin Dunn, I know that actor. I've seen him in stuff. And I think I've recognized the faces of a couple other people. But Jennifer Morrison has been in a fair number of things. Maybe most people might know her most as, I believe, Snow White.
No, she's
not Snow White.
Not Snow White. She's
Sleeping.
She's like an original character. She's not
she?
like a fairy tale character.
I thought she was in
Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time. I thought she was okay. Anyways, I thought she was
at least as far as I made it into Once Upon a Time, which is roughly 4 seasons.
Like Snow White, but it doesn't matter.
What's her name? Is Snow White.
Okay, so never mind. I actually never never watched it, so I've seen like a handful of episodes, so I don't really know. Stir of Echoes is rated 68% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, has a 67% on Metacritic, and a 7 out of 10 on IMDb. So pretty good reviews overall. Had a budget of $12 million and made $21.1 million. Roger Ebert wrote that Kevin Bacon, quote, stars in one of his best performances, and that, quote, Kep's screenplay dovetails the supernatural stuff with developments among the neighbors which are wisely more sad and tragic than sensational. So Ebert was a fan, which to me, I've come to realize means very little. Kep is a big Richard Matheson fan, and after deciding he wanted to take that he wanted his next project to be a horror film, and that he loved Matheson's work, specifically on The Twilight Zone, Kep purchased a copy of A Stir of Echoes from a used bookstore. Fell in love with the book and then wrote a screenplay based on it. Kep was extremely nervous, apparently, to show Matheson the changes he made to the story. He sent him the script asking for feedback, and he was like very nervous about it. But Matheson responded positively to the draft and gave his approval for the project and said, quote, I'm sure he's done a good job of it. I do know what he's done before, and it's quite good. He has a very good touch. So then we get into some IMDb trivia fun facts, or this might be from Wikipedia still, but some fun facts about the actual production here. So there's a scene in the movie where Kevin Bacon extracts a tooth, apparently. And this was inspired by a nightmare that Kep had about dying of old age. And this was achieved actually with a practical effect. Kep told Entertainment Weekly, quote, we blacked out Kevin's tooth and built a cap to go over it, so he's pulling out a cap that comes off fairly easy, and he gives some grunts and groans, and we added grotesque crunching flesh noises while he's pulling out the tooth. He's also palming a real tooth in his other hand to drop into the sink. He drops the real tooth, we tilt down to see it, and then somebody darted in from off camera with a washcloth and wiped the blood off Kevin's face, so when he looks back up into the mirror, his face and teeth are clean. So some clever sleight of hand and all done practically, which I thought was cool. So kind of look, when you're watching the film, look out for that scene. I'm sure it's very memorable.
I'm sure we won't miss it.
Yeah. So in 2007, Stir of Echoes The Homecoming was released as an American television movie made by Lionsgate as a sequel to this film.
Why does that feel very 2007?
Yes. Premiered on the Sci-Fi Channel. And it was originally titled The Dead Speak, written and directed by Ernie Barbarash, and its only connection to the previous work is the inclusion of Jake Witzke, who had a key role in the original film but is a secondary character here. So it's not really connected so much, but they
just kind of slapped the name on it. Gotcha.
So now this is IMDb fun trivia facts. There's a hypnotism scene in the movie, a flashback scene, and there's a scene of a safety pin being stuck through Tom's hand. I don't know who Tom is. It's the character's name. Is that Kevin Bacon?
I mean, in the book, it's the main guy. Like, it would be Kevin Bacon's character. His
name's Tom.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if they made any changes, but
well, I would assume that's it then. And this is apparently not a special effect in the movie. A stuntman was paid to come in and have a safety pin pushed through his hand for the scene. And now I don't know if that's a stuntman. That's all the detail I could find. There are like magicians and stuff who have done tricks, essentially like basically who have a tricks where they've built up scar tissue by pushing, basically piercing parts of their body, like in weird places. So similar to how your ear's pierced and you can push a piece of metal through and it doesn't hurt or anything. You can do that in other places, like through like larger
through
parts
your
of your
arm.
body, like through your even through like your torso. There's like magicians in the past who've like pushed like small swords like through, you know, like their rib cage and stuff, and they built up like a
that
literally
seems
like
very risky.
It is, but it's something you can do.
Right.
It's just like a weird, you know, carnival trick type of thing. I don't know if that's what this was, or if literally the guy was just like, yeah, fine, just push a safety pin through my hand,
man,
I'll be
just
fine.
Sterilize it first.
Yeah. So when they're setting up the scene where Maggie leaves Jake at her relative's house, it was realized that they'd gone over the hours for the child actor who plays Jake, because they've, you know, obviously child labor laws. So the crew members apparently had to run from house to house in the neighborhood looking for a child who was roughly the same age and looked enough like him to appear in the film for a brief scene to complete a shot. And they had to had to get the parents' permission and give the kid a quick haircut and put him in this one scene so they could do this one shot because they couldn't use it the actual child actor any longer that day. which I think is a fun.
So that's something to be on the lookout for.
Yes,
for sure.
It's the scene where Maggie leaves Jake at her relative's house. See if you can spot the stand-in child. There's apparently a scene where Tom gets angry after digging in the backyard and then kicks a bucket towards a wall. And this is sort of like the Viggo Mortensen breaking his foot moment on the helmet in Lord of the Rings. It wasn't intended for him to kick the bucket and for it to hit a window and break the window, but it was a happy accident, and Kevin Bacon stayed in character, so they used that scene in the movie. There's a scene where he kicks a bucket, it breaks the window. They didn't mean to break the window, but
so Kevin Bacon is basically Aragorn.
Basically. I mean, a little different. He didn't break his foot. He broke a window. So, but yeah. And then my final note here, which I thought was fun, is there's people have wondered how there's a scene apparently where some character, a ghost, I don't know anything about the movie, where this character does a like creepy like ghost walk thing, and people have speculated about how they shot it. And what I thought was interesting is the way they actually filmed this is the actress, and I believe it's Jennifer Morrison, is walking as normally as possible, as slowly as possible. And then they speed the footage up, and all of the little imperfections in the way because she's like moving, as slow as she can, but walking.
Yeah.
And then because you can't do that naturally, like you can't walking super slow-mo naturally.
Right.
When you speed the footage up to normal speed walking, it has all these weird like twitches, and it like adds this
twitches
weird
and jerks
and like little tiny subtle imperfections in the way you're walking that make it look really creepy when sped up. So look out for a scene. I believe it is Jennifer Morrison's character. She does like a weird ghost
doing
walk
that creepy
thing.
walk.
No, that's how they did that. So there you go. Those are all my fun facts for Stir of Echoes. Where can you watch it? As always, check your local library, or if you still have a local video rental store, check with them. You can stream it for free with ads on the Roku channel, Tubi, or Plex. So that's fun. You can also stream it with a subscription from Hoopla, or rent it for $2 to $4 from Redbox, Apple TV, Amazon, Fandango Now, Vudu, DirecTV, etc. Those are probably YouTube, I would imagine, too. So those are all the places you can watch Stir of Echoes. But yeah, Roku channel. We have a Roku. Well, we don't.
Do. It's not plugged in, but we have one.
We do have a Roku. We'll figure out. Maybe we can get it on our TV. Maybe we can get Tubi on our TV. I actually don't know if Tubi has an app.
We've watched stuff through Tubi before.
Not on our TV.
Not? Yeah, we have.
Not on this TV.
Well, no, not on this TV.
I'm just wondering if it has an app.
Oh.
I've watched it on my computer. They have a website. I assume they have an app. Anyways, we'll look at.
I assumed it was the Tubi app we were using on the old TV.
Well, it would have been on the Roku.
Oh.
And I don't know if. Anyways, it doesn't matter. The details of what TV we have and what apps are available on it. Because the Sci-Fi app is not available on our TV,
right?
Because it's an LG or what. Anyways, I don't know. So we'll find out if the Tubi app is available. But those are all the places you can watch it. I'm excited because I've heard it's good. April said last time when she was on that she thought it was a good movie. Remembered it being good. And it's got good reviews. And it's been a while since we've done like a horror thriller.
Yeah, we haven't done one since Halloween.
Yeah, was it The Shining?
I think so, yeah.
Probably the last one. So back to back, not back to back, but similar-ish maybe movies for our two most recent horror films / thrillers. All right, that's going to do it for this prequel episode. We also wanted to mention before we go that we are recording a bonus episode for Patreon. It is a bonus review of Tyler Perry's Acrimony. We're recording that. It'll be out the day after this prequel episode is up, most likely. So if you support us for $5 or more on Patreon, you'll have access to that. We'll also mention it on the main episode if you're already not listening, but you wouldn't be hearing this, so it doesn't matter. But it's going to be it's a fun one. It's like if you wanted a good, bad, or bad episode, but a podcast episode, that's probably what you're going to get. So it's something else.
I organized our notes for this episode earlier today, and I kept laughing because we're both just really funny.
This is true.
We're very funny.
Very funny people. So look out for that over on Patreon. And until next time, guys, gals, non-binary, everybody else,
keep reading books,
keep watching movies,
and keep being awesome.